Hey everyone, and welcome back to Baked HR. My name's Jasmine Wilkes, and this is my co-host Christina Mayer. Hey Christina.
Hey Jasmine, how are you tonight?
I'm doing all right, and you?
I'm doing well. I'm actually super excited because we have our friend Amber with us tonight. Amber is one of my best friends. I am contractually obligated to tell everyone she's a Delta. Other than that, I knew it. Amber, for our followers who do not know who you are, why don't you do a quick introduction before we get started?
Okay, well, hello everybody. My name is Amber Montgomery. I'm originally from Fairfield. I always have to say that because I love Fairfield.
Doug Jones.
Yes, Doug Jones. My background is HR, but more recently I've been in program management. I've been doing that 6 years. And yeah, that's kind of me. I don't know. What else?
Well, we're super excited to have you.
Well, thank you. I'm super excited. I miss y'all.
So let's tell everyone how we actually know each other and how we decided to bring this conversation together.
So, I actually met Christina. I was on the Alabama the board for the human resources for Alabama, and so we kind of met briefly during that time. But then we started working together at Ignite, and so we became best friends, like my ride or die, at Ignite. And so then had a position opening in HR, and so we kind of recruited Jasmine to come up and join our squad. So that's how I met Jasmine. And so we've just all been like friends ever since. So yeah.
So Jasmine, I guess that proves our other video wrong. You can have friends at work.
It doesn't. Once again, so Christina and I were friends before I got to Ignite. Amber and Christina were friends before, at Ignite. And I feel like, were you ever in HR for Ignite, Christina? No? Okay. So that's the point.
Fine.
You were in there, you just weren't, job description signature.
Yeah.
All right. So,
but I would say, even though she wasn't in Ignite, she was like the go-to. Like whenever I had a question or whenever our HR department had a question, I would always say, go ask Christina. So that's just the truth.
That's true.
She's gonna hate us for this video. She's gonna tell us we're not putting this one up, but she's wrong. We're gonna put it up.
Right.
Only I can get her to admit that she's an influencer in this video. We'd be like 100%.
I'm tired, but I'm not that tired.
Oh, so coworkers at work. It's like we said, we started this relationship series. We got on IG Live a few nights ago and talked about the work wife, work husband relationship. Mm-hmm. And then we dropped a YouTube video on can HR have friends at work, which is a super short video, about maybe 11 minutes. So super short. And so we dropped that one, and now we're coming to you all talking about coworkers, and not HR as coworkers, but in general, like how to handle coworkers or deal with coworkers that you may not get along with, because that happens.
It does.
Okay, so I'm going to kick us off with the first question that we have for you tonight, Amber. How have you handled working with people that you don't get along with?
So, It's still a work in progress. Still working on this, like just being completely transparent and honest. But what I have tried to do, like I always say, like I can work with anyone. Like I really try to work with anyone.
Mhm.
But when it's a situation where we're just not clicking, like we just cannot get it together. In the past, I've gone to my supervisor and said, hey, how do I navigate this? Because I'm really trying. I don't know if this person is trying. So help me help this situation. And so that has been my way around trying to, like I said, just navigate how we can work together some type of way.
I think people always say like you have to get along with your coworkers because you spend so much time at work. But sometimes it's easy for me to accept that I don't have to get along with my coworkers because I can leave them at work. So, like,
Right.
granted, we do spend a lot of time with our coworkers. I mean, right now, I think everything's a little bit different because so many people are working like remotely. So we're not in each other's faces or seeing each other like every single day. But sometimes like that's kind of the upside to them just being a coworker. You get to just leave them at work.
Right.
But what about, I want to bring up the specific incident just because I feel like I should have put some thought into how we were going to bring this up. So we know that we previously worked with someone who was not a fan of ours.
Right.
Right. And partly because we were in a weird environment at the time, and you and I had taken on a lot of responsibility that a lot of it didn't necessarily go together. And we had to hold support staff accountable to delivering the support that they were supposed to provide in order for our part of the work to be successful. And some people couldn't adapt to that.
Right.
And so they literally tried to start as much drama as they could. So, like, what would you tell someone to do if they're in a situation where they have a coworker who's mad because you're trying to carry out your work? You didn't call them ugly, you didn't call them stupid, like you literally made them mad because you're doing your job and they don't want you to do your job that way. So they're going around to all of your coworkers and they're gossiping. So what's your first step? After you realize that you can't throw hands at work.
Right. Because and so okay, let me just like preface this whole like thing. So like I am the type of friend, like when you're my friend, like I'm very protective. So if I feel like you're being disrespected, it's like I have a hard time trying to remember that, okay, we're at work, so that let's just so what in that situation, I went to my supervisor, who was Christina at the time, and okay, like we really
Poor Amber.
but I think the great thing about our friendship is when we're in friend mode, we're in friend mode. When we're in coworker supervisor mode, we know how to switch the hats, So, I went to her like, hey, okay, this is not Amber, friend Amber. This is coworker. Like, I need you to like really help me through this. And so that's what I would say, like your first step is to backtrack. Before I went to Christina, I tried to talk to this individual. Hey, maybe I'm coming across the wrong way. What are you hearing from me? What am I saying that is triggering you? So I tried to have that conversation. That didn't work. So like I said, the next step was, okay, Christina, I'm about to lose it. I need you to help me. Like, we need to have a meeting with, like, maybe you need to talk to her supervisor. All of us need to sit in the room. Like, something need to happen because one of us not gonna make it, basically. And I was gonna make it. So we needed to work it out. And so, we ended up having a meeting. Christina talked to her supervisor, and her supervisor was in agreement that we needed to all have a come to Jesus moment. And so we had that moment. And again, this is where the when you're my friend comes in. During that meeting, this individual kept rolling her eyes at Christina, and rolling her eyes to the point where it was like her eyes probably going to come out of her head. It was like so hard. And so I asked Christina, could I excuse myself? Because for me, it was like, okay, we haven't done anything to you. I haven't done anything to you. Like, I've tried to help you. I've tried to guide you. I've tried to fall back. I've tried to offer you advice. And it's a certain level of disrespect that, I feel like everyone deserves respect, regardless of where you are on the totem pole at work. And so if I'm constantly trying to give you that respect, and then you're going to blatantly disrespect me and my friend, who just so happens to be my supervisor, that I couldn't, I had to remove myself. So I would say in that situation, it's probably just best to remove yourself. Like, just walk away. Just completely walk away. Because and another thing that I will say that like I'm really working on is I can work around someone. So I can work and I don't even see you. And that may not always be the best way to handle things, but it has enabled me to keep some type of peace, because I'm like, okay, if I'm just tunnel vision, focusing on what I have to focus on, then you not liking me or whatever the issues are, I don't even see it, because I'm just so focused on what I have to do. And like you said, you're just my coworker. So we don't even have to really have a relationship, if that makes sense.
Sure. I remember before that meeting, we even talked about it. If something goes sideways, just excuse yourself, because us having a bigger blow up while we're trying to solve it wasn't what we were going for. So if it got out of hand, just excuse yourself. And then of course it did get out of hand, and you had to excuse yourself, and then it was a terrible mistake, and there was just no recovering from it. But
and what I would need the people to understand is that, like, we tried multiple things. Like, this was not just like, okay, one day and then the next we're having a meeting. This was like over some weeks that, and daily things that were happening, that we were just like, okay, if like our environment is too small for us to not handle this tension. So we have got to do something.
Yeah. Oh, what an experience that was.
But I want to bring up a point that you both made, especially since we did just do the talk on HR having friends at work. And, we kind of said this as well, Christina, is that we know when to turn off the friendship hat and go into work mode. And I feel like that's a big issue for a lot of people, is that they can't take those emotions out of it. And sometimes you have to get through situations, because things can go, left, and it just we just not gonna let it happen.
Right. And that's one thing, like, I would say, like, about Christine, and I think all of us, is like, I expect you all to hold me accountable. Like, if I'm doing something, I expect you to say, Amber, okay, no, that ain't it. Like, I really expect you all to do that, because I'm gonna do the same thing. So it's not hard to take those hats off when you have those type of expectations of your friends and of yourself,
I like that. That's a tweetable moment, Christine.
Tweet that. So I think it comes from having a mutual respect for each other, and definitely kind of having boundaries up front. From my perspective, especially when we moved into the position where Amber suddenly reported to me, and it was not something that we knew was coming. It was not something we planned. It literally happened overnight. The hardest thing about that was the fact that we both had bought tickets to go see Beyonce and Jay-Z like a week later. And now suddenly it was like, crap, we can't both be off work the same day because now we're each other's backup. And so we had to adjust. And obviously I was like, okay, well, you take Friday off and I'll work. I'm just going to work from home because we didn't get home till like 2:00 in the morning.
Right. Right.
But that was literally the hardest part. I mean, I think we talked about a game plan as soon as they told us what was happening, and we divided up responsibilities. We built our plan of attack to solve the problem they put us over. We built that together. We learned what each other was working on so that we could back each other up. And then, it helps when someone expects you to hold them accountable and they know that they can do the same to you, because sometimes people are offended by accountability. Fortunately, like Amber said, I don't think the three of us are at all. So that definitely made it easy, but also, and we talked about it some in the HR, having friends at work, you have to know that there are just some things that you can't talk about on a friendship level once you're like, okay, we're done working for the day. Now, Amber and I were unique because we were like running a program together. And so like, if we were going to talk to anybody about what was going on, it was each other anyway.
Right.
So that was never an issue. Too. So we had a couple other questions, but you kind of answered them all like in your first question, because like the third one was like, what should you do if a coworker crosses the line? But you hit that already, because you're like, I just went to my supervisor. Like you said, can I excuse myself? Because she did cross the line. Not only, I think, was she rolling her eyes, like she slammed her hand down on the table.
Yes. And so, okay, like back up, like earlier today, it was Christmas time, and just don't judge us. Like nobody was in the office.
Is never going to let us forget that part.
I mean, nobody was in the office. I mean, work was being handled. I mean, it was
close to the holidays. Yeah.
Yes. And so we were putting together my kids' kitchen for Christmas. I mean, that's just what we were doing. Okay. And so, I mean, the CFO even like helped. So, I mean, it wasn't a big deal. I mean, and so this particular individual, I guess, was upset because we were doing that and decided to throw paper at Christina. So that was like the first, like, okay. I mean, I see her, my supervisor, but that friend inside of me is like, did she just throw some paper at my friend? Even though she's like, it's like, is she really tested my gangster? So
respectful though, so it's fine.
It was right. So I was just like, but in that moment, Christina knew like, okay, her friend needed her. So she like held her hand up and was like, don't say another word. Like I was just like, cool. So, I mean, like I said, there were things leading up to this blow up with this individual. So yeah, it's just, I just want the people to understand that I tried everything that I could, everything.
But so because we've been through that, and we tried what I think were some good steps. Maybe we had some missteps. I know we had a couple of missteps actually.
And that's the thing, like,
if we're going to be honest with everyone,
I mean,
when you are so frustrated with someone, when you're having this many problems, you find yourself in a position where everything they do gets on your nerves. And I remember the day like she was shuffling her feet in the hallway. You sent me an IM and you were like something about she needs to pick up her damn feet.
I said if she don't pick up her damn feet. But I sent it to her and not Christine.
So, I mean, that was bad. We should not have done that.
And I took ownership of that. Like, I went directly into Christina's office. I was like, this is what I did. What you need to do, understand.
Oh, I don't think I heard that story. Oh my God.
It was
about that. Oh my gosh. And I just was like, you did what? And then it was fine.
Yeah.
And she even, I remember, messaged Amber was for Christina.
Yes.
And so, so we didn't handle everything perfectly. But so, if you found yourself in a similar situation again, what would you do different, or what would you totally skip that you tried that we know didn't work?
So like I said, I have, and I don't necessarily know if this is the best thing to do, but I really just tried to tunnel vision and, work around someone. And, like if they're not in my, like where we had to work together on the program and I don't have to like directly involve them in what I'm doing, then I just see them and don't see them. And I'm really, because our work environment is so small and it's just like, you would think that we're so close knit. I've really tried to take a step back and say, okay, this is work. These are my friends. This is home, like create those boundaries. And that has really helped me here lately, dealing with some things, because I'm able to say, okay, no, let me put this in this box and don't bring this home or don't take this to work, because they're two totally separate things. You know what I mean? But in the
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
It's totally reasonable to have that conversation with yourself so you can reset the expectations you have of your coworkers.
Right.
Because when I was in staffing and really just kind of learning to make my way, I remember the people who had the most problem with me were my coworkers. Mm-hmm. But my customers raved about me, absolutely raved about me. And so one time the CEO was down for a visit and he was just like, Christina, you would be so much better off if you would just treat your coworkers like you treat your customers. Mm-hmm. And so it made me realize that the reason why I didn't like my coworkers and my coworkers didn't like me is because my expectations of them were to produce the same level of quality of work that I was producing. And so when they didn't, I was upset with them because I thought, well, you know better. You see what all we have going on. You know what we need to do. You know what the goals are, whatever it was. And so I was projecting my expectations of myself on them, or on people that I would count in my circle, because I have a strong circle like that, and not realizing that that's not what drives everyone. And so by changing that perspective and treating them more like a customer, I did get way further in my career. And you would think that, that was a super sharp, intelligent, smart guy who said that to me, but it's the same guy who I was talking about last night who was all GD this and GD that, and then I was in trouble for saying asshole in an email, so I don't know. Leaders aren't perfect, I guess, but I think it has a lot to do with expectations. Jasmine, do you have a story you can add? I know you came after all of that happened, but maybe you have another example of where you had to deal with an issue like this at work.
I think the biggest thing, and I definitely understand that tunnel vision mindset when you don't get along with someone at work, because I'm very much in my head, we can work together. We don't have to be friends. And I feel like a lot of organizations try to push a certain culture of friendship at work, and that's just not true. Like, if people are performing, doing their duties, it's everyone needs to be respectful of each other, but you don't have to go out and get a beer with someone afterwards, after a day. I think more people need to understand that just having the respect for someone and the work that they do is good enough, for me at least.
It goes
Because
a long way.
Yeah.
especially like in a company that has 500 employees, you mean you want me to be friends with each and every one of them? Like, that ain't gonna happen. And then it also, it's funny how, we deal with emotions. Even being in HR, it's hard for me. It took me, and I still struggle with someone coming in my office crying, because I'm just like,
Christina is not.
what are you doing? Why?
In my office. I'm gonna let you have your minute, and I'm gonna come back and check on you.
So, having to help people through emotions is a difficult task. But I think we've all had at least one coworker that we don't get along with, and that's okay. It's completely fine, as long as you're not throwing paper at somebody and getting ready to have a kitchen set knocked upside your head.
Let me clarify right there. For one, we're just going to be thankful it was only paper, okay? Because I honestly don't know. Number two, wasn't nobody about to pick up that kitchen and throw it, because it was hard as hell to put together. So if that thing would have come apart, I swear it was supposed to be easier than it was. So,
I mean, we had to get reinforcement. So yeah, it was hard.
We did. When the CFO came to help, did he bring a power tool? Because I feel like he did.
He probably did. I
don't remember. The rest of that day is a blur.
Yeah.
So I feel we're not fully crazy. We're actually a lot of fun to work with. So when I'm going to tell y'all the story really quick before we end this. When I was 16 and I got my first job, I was waiting tables at a buffet. So I don't know if you know this about a buffet, but like, you don't really need your waitress for much. She's going to refill your drinks and carry away your like dirty dishes. I mean, to be fair, the place you could still like order off the menu or whatever, but most people came in for the buffet. And so during the week, it only took one waitress. So I didn't really have to work with anybody other than like a manager and the kitchen staff. But on the weekends, we would be really busy. And so there would be multiple, like 2 or 3 of us. And wouldn't you know that this place hired my like high school enemy and expected the 2 of us to work together. And I mean, we hated each other. Like we really put each other through it in high school. We've totally both grown up since then and seen each other and been like, wow, we were dumb, and moved on. Like we're not friends now either, but we were jerks in high school. And so I remember one Saturday, it was super busy. And it was just the 2 of us waiting the floor. And I mean, every table in that restaurant was booked. And we just kept being kind of like crappy towards each other. Like whenever we would like pass each other, or we'd both be in the kitchen at the same time or whatever. And so finally I stopped and I looked at her and I was like, look, we're both here to make money. Jasmine, don't make that face. It's fine. It's like, we're both here to make money. And if we don't work well together, we're going to interfere with our own money. So let's just focus on working together and getting our work done well while we're here. And as soon as we hit that parking lot, we hate each other again. And she was like, okay, deal. And then we worked so great together. But I am telling you, the second we hit that parking lot, we could have like lit each other on fire. Okay. Like we did not like each other. So if 2 16-year-old girls who are like high school mortal enemies can do it, I think anybody can do it.
And another thing, this last thing I'm gonna say, but the one thing I think like lately I've just been saying to myself, what is it about this person that is making me like getting me so upset? Like, why am I allowing this person this to me. And so it's like I'm having to do a gut check on myself to say, okay, like, you tripping. Like, are your expectations too high of this person? Like, you gotta pull back, you know? And so I think that may help too. It's just look at yourself and just why is it this person? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
yeah.
like that. Well, Amber and I like had a rule when we worked together, especially dealing with this particular program because it was such a mess when they gave it to us. And we were just like, okay, first step is always, what can we do differently?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you don't automatically go to, well, you shouldn't have done that. It's like,
Right.
okay, maybe we could have communicated what we needed a little differently, and that would have got us to where we wanted to be. So it's always an internal look first. And so
Right.
I agree. I think that applies really well to any kind of scenario at work where you're not getting along with someone, even though Jasmine's face is saying otherwise. So.
I mean, really, because I will say in a heartbeat, like, okay, am I tripping? Am I being too sensitive? Like, just tell me, because maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way, you know? So I don't have Christina and Jasmine there with me now to be able to say this, but I will call them to say, hey, okay, this is what happened. Am I tripping? Yeah. So yeah.
Yes, that happens. So, Amber, thank you for joining us tonight and sharing your experience. It was a lot of fun. For any of you watching, if you are in a similar scenario and you need some guidance or some help or someone to vent to, we are available. We have been there. You're not alone.
All right, y'all. So thank you so much for joining us today. Always remember that you can follow us on Instagram at BakedHR. We have gone live. We getting this live thing down. So, you know, y'all come on, join us. And then
we'll figure it out by the next time.
Yeah, hopefully. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can know when our next video drops for BakedHR. And then, like Christina said, if you have a story that you want to tell, or if you want to join us on BakedHR, then definitely send us an email at bakedhr@gmail.com. Thank you all for joining us while we talk about coworkers tonight, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.